Well, I've seen a little boy stood in the drawing room. He was there, plain as day. He just vanished. He was there for 3 seconds. But I guess the other two, it wasn't just me who saw them. The one, I was doing a walk around a history tour at the start of an event, and as I walked down the stairs, 2 chaps walked out of the bathroom who I knew. It was one of the team leaders and the group's medium. They were just having a walk around on their own, but they were followed out by a third person. So I shouted down, because I had the rest of the group with me. I shouted down, "Who's that with you?" And he said, "Well, it's Bill." I said, "No, the other chap." He said, "No, it's just me and Bill." And the lad next to me, he'd seen it as well. He shouted out, "No, somebody else walked out behind you." And I said, "Oh, you did see that? I'm not just seeing things." So I legged it down to the bathroom, ran in, and there was nobody there. But 3 of them walked out, and there was only 2 of them down there. So, and that wasn't only me who saw it. And the other one was a lady. She seemed to float across the corridor outside the library. And I was literally there talking to Lynn Sindri. She's the ghost lady of Gloucestershire. We were talking about some Gloucester war tunnels, and she just looked at me and she said, "Please just tell me you saw that." And I said, "Yeah, I did. Tell me what you saw." She said, "A lady just went through that wall and into that wall." I said, "Yeah, I saw the same thing." So
it's always better to have other witnesses, isn't it? Otherwise you sort of doubt yourself. Have I not had enough sleep, or did I see what I saw? But if other people saw it as well, yeah, that's incredible. That really is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's you never know what you're going to get on a night in Woodchester Mansion. It's just one of those buildings. I mean, I was there Friday night with Amy's Crypt. They were over from Australia doing a YouTube episode, so I don't know what they've got yet until the episode comes out. I mean, the week before it was very quiet. Last night they were coming in playing me these voices they were catching on dictaphones, which is quite interesting.
It really is world famous, isn't it, Woodchester Mansion? Everyone seems to have heard about it or know someone has done an investigation there.
It is, yeah. I mean, we've had the American YouTubers over. As I said, the Australian ones last night. It is a popular location, but it's just a mysterious building, and everybody wants to come and sample the atmosphere, I think.
Well, I was asking Richard Felix, because we had him on the show a while ago, while ago, and I asked the question, what happened to the builders? Why did they leave their tools behind? I'm curious to know what your thoughts on that are.
My actual thoughts on the builders leaving the building, yes, it is mysterious, and there's a lot of spooky stories where, oh yeah, they fled the building because they'd seen the ghost of a fallen comrade, and I think in reality, and this is after several years of trying to fathom what actually went on, I think if you take that the building work stopped in around 1872. So the builders would have left the site. This is the start of another ghost story. Have you heard of the headless horse that roams outside the track?
I've not actually heard that story, no.
No, there's if you watch a Most Haunted episode, the first one that they did, Derek, they took Derek outside. They'd obviously told him the story about the headless horse, so he was saying, "Oh yeah, we've got this headless horse out here." The headless horse didn't actually exist. They didn't have Securicor back in Victorian times, so hoping that they would be coming back to work shortly, a lot of the tools were left in the building, and so the story was put out to keep locals away, so that nobody ventured down there at night to try and steal anything. So the headless horse doesn't exist. We do know, coming on to the 1890s, builders did come back to finish the only complete room in the building, which is the drawing room, and that was completed for a visit by Cardinal Vaughan, the Archbishop of Westminster. He was families being devout Catholics were asked if they would entertain him. So the drawing room was completed purely for that one visit. So we do know there were builders in there 1894. Why the tools were left, I don't know. We do know that one of the builders died, fell to his death, or was he pushed? That's the story. We don't know which is right. He's been given the name James, but I do think he's one of the main spirits that occupies the top floor corridor of the mansion. I think the builders thought they would be coming back at some stage, because it was still undecided what they were the family were going to do with the building. So I think, again, you've got to try and look into some of the folklore stories that were put out to try and put off the locals coming down and trying to steal pieces that were in the building.
Wow. I'm guessing some of the ghosts in the mansion are possibly not from the mansion, but from what was built before. And was it demolished? Yeah. And you said it was built on top of it, Woodchester Mansion?
Yeah, I do think a lot of the activity comes from the Georgian Manor House, Spring Park. I mean, it was interesting. I mentioned the one ghost in the corridor that went through one wall, come out of one wall and through another. She did appear to be a little bit lower down as well, because you couldn't see any feet. So I do think she was from the Georgian Manor House.
And that would definitely make sense, wouldn't it? Because you said there was a ghost of a child as well that you saw yourself.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not just me who's seen this this child. It's quite a nice story. One of our head trustees, a guy called Stephen, I can't remember his surname, but he didn't believe in the paranormal at all. No, this building's not haunted. Don't believe in any of it. On his last day, after he'd resigned to move on to another building, he walked up the stairs to hand his keys back, and stood in the doorway to the offices was the same little boy that I've seen. Again, just vanished in front of his eyes. So he left a little bit more believing that there could be something going on, rather than the skepticism he'd earlier shown.
Oh, and on his last day as well.
Exactly, yeah.
I want to move on to another location that I've been to many times, the ancient Ram Inn, Wootton Under Edge.
Yes.
You sound very sort of excited about that one.
Yes, that's a great building.
Have you had any experiences there? Did you used to go in the days when John was doing the tours, and when John lived there?
I knew John very well. Yeah, back in the early 2000s, I was working as a financial advisor in that area of Gloucestershire. So I very often pop in and go and have a chat with John on lunch breaks on nice days when I was over there. I actually went there one day, and John said, "Oh, I'm glad you've come. I've just bought a cannon from the auction rooms. Can you pop me up there and drive it back to the building for me?" So yeah, John was a character.
And what's your thoughts on the history of the Ram?
Do you know what? There's a group that has just been set up on Messenger of historians. They are currently going through everything with a fine-tooth comb.
Ooh.
So at the moment, we're just waiting for their investigations. It's certainly an old building, very old building. I mean, you've got the wattle and daub walls inside that.
That's right. Yeah.
John had scratched away and put a little perspex plate over. So we do know that it is an ancient building, and it's got a lot of history to it. But it is very strange. It again, that's another of these buildings that you can feel very, very uncomfortable in, particularly when you're on your own.
Well, most people used to talk about the bishop's room being allegedly the most haunted room in the building, but me and my dad, when we used to go and I wouldn't say investigate, but when we used to sort of have a walk around and little nose around with our camcorder and stuff, probably around 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
we'd get stones dropping or pinging off the roof in the Mayflower barn. It seemed to us that the Mayflower barn was the main sort of haunted location. Some really strange things. And there used to be, I don't know if you remember, an old cartwheel propped up in the Mayflower barn.
Yes.
And quite a few occasions that sort of toppled over when we were nowhere near it at all. And that kind of spooked my dad out on one occasion.
I mean, he did have it quite filled up, the Mayflower barn, didn't he?
Oh, it was. At one time, it was rammed full of old chairs, old tables.
It was floor to ceiling. I don't know. Have you been recently? Now it's been emptied.
No, not for many, many years. We last went when John was still alive. Maybe 2010, 2012, something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's Carolyn. She's done a good job of. She's kept the character of the building, but they have cleared out the Mayflower barn. And, there's a table and chair in there now.
Right.
The last time I was in there was investigating. I think it was about 2.5 years ago when we were in the Mayflower barn, and I went to stand up, and the bench below me, it was as if somebody had moved it and pushed me back down.
Wow.
So I almost fell over. So yeah, it's still active in there. There's still a very strange area.
And what did you make of like the witch's room?
Sorry,
The witch's room. I believe it's directly above the well, not above,
yes.
but just before you go into the Mayflower barn, it would be above that area.
That's right. Yeah, it's a room on the right at the top of the stairs, isn't it? Yeah. The only thing that I can report of a paranormal nature in that room was, this is going back to around 2007. There was a group called Ghost Hunting Housewives, I believe, and they were regulars at the mansion, and they'd been to the Ram, and they'd sent me some footage to have a look at for them, and it was just a static camera shot basically of them calling out. But the interesting thing was there was a camera bag on the floor, and you can see somebody almost lift the strap of the camera bag up like an invisible hand, and then it just drops. So that was quite interesting. I couldn't have no explanation for that one at all.
Do you know what? I think I remember that group, and I think they were actually called Ghost Busting Housewives.
But yeah, you could be right.
And I first met them at the Ring o' Bells, I think in Frampton. And,
okay.
And they asked if I wanted to come along with them on an investigation, and we did Wickwar Brewery. And at the time, it was owned by someone called Ray Penny, and he let us have a sort of overnight investigation. Now, I don't believe I did any more with them, but I'm sure that was their name, and I'm sure that's the same people, because when you said about the bag and the strap,
yeah,
I think around the time they were showing me, and that must have been about 07, 08, around that time when they were showing.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, so that was a witch's room. So that's the only real story I've got personally.
So you haven't really seen much yourself, except from you've had that feeling in the barn of being sort of pushed back down onto the seat.
Yeah. But it is a strange place. Very, very strange place. It has got a strange atmosphere. The worst thing that happened to me in the Ram was when I was working with a group, Severnside Paranormal Research, they were called, and myself and a chap called Pete Mould, we'd gone over prior to the investigation to set up CCTV around the building. So we had all the cameras set up, and we had the monitor on. And I said to Pete, what I'm going to do now, we had the Newton's cradle, the one with the clicky balls on.
Yeah.
We had one of those. So I said, I'm going to put that in shot of one of the cameras just to see if anything moves it and sets it off. So I walked up the stairs because we had a camera shot pointing directly down the staircase. I radioed through to Pete, anywhere you think would be good to put it. And he said, put it on the shelf to the right as you walk up the stairs. So I put it down. He said, yeah, that's great. You can see it's in shot. shall I press record? I said, no, don't bother. I said, it's all set up. We'll go off now, go and get something to eat, and then come back when the rest of the team arrive. With that, I turned around, started walking down the stairs. Pete suddenly comes through on the walkie-talkie. I won't say what he said, but it wasn't a very nice word. And with that, the Newton's cradle shot past my right-hand side.
What?
He said it was as if it had been lifted off. He saw it. It wasn't recording because we'd said not to. So we weren't going to bother. He said, I wish I'd pressed record. He said that was incredible.
No.
He said that was thrown at you. And so we didn't have a Newton's cradle because it ended up at the bottom of the stairs. All the nylon cables intertwined and unrepairable.
That's crazy. As you were telling me the story, I was picturing you were going to say that the ball the motion started on its own and they were clicking together. But the actual
no, it's worse than that. It was proper poltergeist activity.
And is that reported in the place?
Yeah, poltergeist activity has been reported. There's been things have moved. So yeah, it is one of the phenomena that has been reported with the ramming.
Well, I mean, like I said, we had some strange stones dropping noises, which I guess you could class as poltergeist activity. But what do you know much about the history of the actual? I mean, John called it. He had a habit of calling different rooms different things, and he was saying that was the Mayflower barn. But do you know what that area would have been used for originally?
Not way back. No, I mean, there's. If you take the history right back, they're saying that the inn was used to house the stonemasons who were building the church opposite.
That's it. I remember
the ram inn. There's stories about tunnels that lead under the ram in various directions, and they have found evidence recently which does support that there may be tunnels under the building.
Okay, that's really interesting because I remember John suggesting it might have been in the fireplace, and
that's right.
We sort of looked, but it seemed like someone had put like a metal plate over it to sort of seal it up at the time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, historically, bones were discovered under the ram inn, and they were dated way back. So we do know it is an ancient plot of land. So I'm going to be really interested now that with some more modern investigation techniques that are currently going on there, whether they'll uncover any further history that you can sort of put all the facts together.
That would be really good. That would be really, really good.
Yeah.
And just sort of rounding up now, because I don't want to keep you too long, Chris. I know you're a busy person.
That's okay.
Have you got any projects lined up? Anything that you want to talk about?
I think the latest project, we've just taken part in I'd describe it's more of a documentary style paranormal program, a ghost hunting program. John Shackleton Films is a very well respected TV producer in the industry, came up with the idea that he just wanted to follow 3 different groups of ghost hunters around 3 different buildings using 3 different styles of investigation.
Oh, that sounds really good.
So he's myself and Lucy got contacted would we like to take part, and so we were one team. We were given the costume hire shop in Frome, although we didn't know where we were going, because the main part of our team having a medium, John didn't want Lucy to know anything about where she was going. So
well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? So there's no chance, viewers are going to start complaining, saying, "Well, they could have briefed Lucy in advance. She knew where she was going." And
that's right. But he didn't even brief me in case I told her. So we met them somewhere outside of Frome at some Premier Inn. He rigged the car up with GoPros, and he gave me 3 words. He said, "Right, put that in your app. That's where you can just follow the directions."
Fantastic.
So we got there. So that was our brief. It was shipped to Mallet Prison and Walton Castle. So that's the pilot episode, and it's been received very well with some of the TV channel promoters. And so we're currently waiting to see if we've got a commission to film some more supernatural Somerset haunts.
So fingers crossed we could see it on our screens in the near future.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I was impressed with his style. It is pure documentary. It's what you see is what happened on the night.
Fantastic. Chris, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you, and I love history. I love haunted history, and talking about two locations I've been to, Woodchester Mansion and the ancient Ram Inn, is really good to get someone else's perspective on it. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Adam. Yeah, it's been great talking to you.
Amazing. You take care of yourself, Chris.
You too. Thanks,
Cheers.
Adam.
Bye. And that was Paranormal Investigator Chris Howley. Everyone, don't have nightmares. Sleep tight. Until the next time.